yewe no muri 1994 jenoside yakorewe abatutsi yatangiye mu cyumweru gitagatifu cya Pasika. Uruhurirane rw'iminsi mikuru n'ubwicanyi hari isomo rikwiye kuduha, kuko hari na za kiliziya zimwe nka Nyamata, Ntarama zahindutse inzibutso. Nyange yo yasenyewe ku batutsi ku mabwiriza ya Padiri Seromba. Muri 1963 raporo nyinshi z'amahanga, inyandiko z'abanyamahanga bari mu Rwanda n'itangazamakuru mpuzamahanga zemeje ko iyicwa ry'abatutsi ari jenoside. Urugero rumwe muri nyinshi zihari, hari umwanzuro wa guverinoma y'Ababiligi wo ku itariki 7 z'ukwa kabiri 1964 washoje gutya: bitewe n'ibibazo biri mu Rwanda, cyane cyane ibirego bishinjwa guverinoma y'iki gihugu, birakwiye ko tubinyujije muri ambasade yacu mu Rwanda dutanga amabwiriza Ababiligi bagomba gukurikiza arebana n'ibikorwa bibera mu Rwanda byo kumaraho abatutsi. Ibihabera byafashe isura nini ku rwego mpuzamahanga, tukaba tugomba gukumira icyatuma Ububirigi bushobora kuzashinjwa kugira uruhare muri jenoside. Bagahagarira aho ngaho. Iri jambo jenoside rigaragara kenshi mu nyandiko zivuga ko bwicanyi bwo muri 1963, kandi bose bakabishingira ku miterere y'ubwo bwicanyi uko babubonaga. Basangaga bihuye neza n'ibiteganywa n'amasezerano mpuzamahanga agenga icyaha cya jenoside yo muri 1948. Iyicwa ry'abatutsi rihosheje, leta yashyizeho amategeko akandamiza abatutsi, nko kubuza impunzi kugaruka mu Rwanda, n'uwo bamenye ko yahageze agasubizwa iyo yavuye mu mahanga. Hari ukubambura imitungo yabo, kubajyana mu bice by'igihugu ku gahato bitari iwabo kugira ngo bahagirire imibereho mibi n'ibindi. Urugero ni iteka rya Perezida Kayibanda ryo ku itariki 26 z'ukwa kabiri 1966 ryemeza ko abatutsi bahunze igihugu ari bo babyiteye, ko ari nabo bagomba kwirengera ingaruka zabyo. Nyamara bahunze bicwa, batwikirwa nk'abatagira igihugu. Perezida Habyarimana mu byemezo bya mbere yafashe akigera ku butegetsi, nk'icyemezo yafashe ku itariki 25 z'ukwa 10 1973, amaze amezi 5 gusa ageze ku butegetsi, ni ugushimangira amabwiriza yose yashyizweho na Kayibanda yo gutoteza abatutsi, cyane cyane yo gukumira impunzi. Uko Perezida wa Repubulika, nubwo hari ibyo byose, nta kibi kiganza cyonyine. Hari abanyarwanda n'abanyamahanga babirwanyije. Muri 1959 bamwe mu bahutu bafatanyaga n'abatutsi guhangana n'ibitero by'abaparmehutu, bikerekana ipfundo ry'ubumwe abanyarwanda bibonagamo iyo ubutegetsi bubi butabavangira. Muri 1963 nka Padiri de Jamburini wabaga mu Cyanika ku Gikongoro yarwanyije ko ashoboye iyicwa ry'abatutsi. Hari benshi cyane bamukesha ubuzima, bari mu kiruhuko cy'izabukuru mu Bubiligi. Padiri Reginald Grender wabaga i Nyamirambo nawe yarwanye ku bapfakazi n'abana b'abayoboke ba Intari bishwe muri 1963, bituma asubiye iwabo mu Bubiligi muri konje, leta imubuza kugaruka mu Rwanda bamuhoye icyo gusa. Muri 1973 hari abayobozi b'amashuri banze ko abanyeshuri b'abatutsi birukanwa, nka Musenyeri Joseph Sibomana wanze ko abaseminari b'abatutsi birukana izaza, akanakira abari barirukanywe mu yandi maseminari cyane cyane Kabgayi akabasubiza mu ishuri, barimo nka nyakwigendera Padiri Dominico Karekezi n'abandi. Icyo gihe nanone Padiri Umusaleziyani Lionel wayoboraga Eto Kicukiro na Padiri Dominika Mutom wayoboraga seminari ntoya ya St Paul Kigali barwanye ku banyeshuri b'abatutsi banga ko birukanwa mu mashuri. Izo ni ingero nziza zikwiye kujya zibutswa mu mateka ya jenoside yakorewe abatutsi, ntiduhamane ibibi gusa, bityo ku munsi nk'uyu wo kwibuka tukanashima ubutwari bw'abo bantu. Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, urugamba rwo kubohora igihugu rutangiye muri 1990 bitewe n'ako karengane kose kari karimitswe na leta za Parmehutu na MRD. Perezida Habyarimana nawe yatangije gahunda ya jenoside ku batutsi irangwa no gufunga abiswe ibyitso by'inkotanyi no kwica abatutsi henshi mu gihugu, ahereye mu duce yakomokagamo we n'abo bari bafatanyije twa Gisenyi na Ruhengeri. Kuva muri 1991 ijambo gutsembatsemba ryakwijwe mu itangazamakuru nko muri kangura yo ku itariki 9 z'ukwa kabiri 1991, aho banditse ngo mureke tumenye inkotanyi n'abashyigikiye FPR maze tubatsembatsembe. Itariki 9 z'ukwa kabiri muri 1991. Disikuru nyinshi za Habyarimana n'iz'abayobozi ba MRD zahamagariye jenoside nk'iyo yavugiye mu Ruhengeri ku itariki 15 z'ukwa 11 1992 avuga ko imishyikirano y'amahoro ari ibipapuro bidafite agaciro, ko igihe nikigera azakora ku nterahamwe bakamanuka. Kuwa 22 z'ukwa 11 1992 Leo Mugesera wari umujyanama wa MRD muri politike akaba na vice perezida wayo ku Gisenyi yavugiye mu nama rusange y'abaturage yari yakoreshejwe ku Kabaya muri Ngororero aho akomoka ko abatutsi bagomba kwicwa bagasubizwa aho yisi wabo muri Ethiopia banyujijwe muri Nyabarongo, kandi koko bahise bicwa nabi. Guhakana ubunyarwanda bw'abatutsi ni kimwe mu byakoreshejwe muri jenoside yakorewe abatutsi kuva kuri Parmehutu, MRD na CDR. Mu gutegura jenoside inzego zose zarifashishijwe. Mu basirikare hashyizweho ishyirahamwe ryitwaga Masasu ryayoborwaga na Bagosora wiyitaga Komanda Mike Tango. Ku itariki 21 z'ukwa 9 muri 1992 ubuyobozi bw'ingabo bwatangaje inyandiko igena ko umututsi ari umwanzi w'u Rwanda. Muri uwo mwaka kandi hashinzwe ishyaka ry'intagondwa CDR. Muri 1993 andi mashyaka ashyirwamo igice cy'intagondwa cya Hutu Power. Itangazamakuru n'utwitsi ryongerwamo EDUCATION ku itariki 8 z'ukwa 4 muri 1993. Urubyiruko rushyirwamo interahamwe n'impuzamugambi, bahabwa imyitozo, bigishwa kwica, abagaragaje umurava bagashyirwa mu itsinda ruharwa ryiswe Turi Hose ryajyaga gutanga ubufasha muri jenoside ahantu henshi. Aba basore ba Turi Hose nibo bagiye gutanga umusada wo kwica mu Bisesero baturutse ku Gisenyi boherejwe na Colonel Anatole Nsengiyumva. Mbese umugambi wo gutegura no gushyira mu bikorwa jenoside yakorewe abatutsi nta rwego na rumwe rutayigiyemo, ari nayo mpamvu no mu kubaka igihugu no guhangana n'ingaruka za jenoside inzego zose zigomba kubigira ibyazo. Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, ngana ku musozo, ubu jenoside yakorewe abatutsi yemewe ku rwego mpuzamahanga. Muri 2004 umuryango w'abibumbye washyizeho tariki ya 7 Mata n'umunsi uhoraho wo kuyizirikana. Wongera kubishimangira muri Mata 2020 wemeza ko inyito igomba gukoreshwa ari jenoside yakorewe abatutsi. Muri 2014 inama y'umuryango w'abibumbye ishinzwe amahoro ku isi yari yashimangiye icyemezo cy'urukiko mpuzamahanga rwemeje ko jenoside yakorewe abatutsi ari ihame ridashobora kugibwaho impaka. Ibi byemezo byaciye intege abapfobya jenoside yakorewe abatutsi, bahitamo gushakisha ikinyoma cy'indi jenoside bita iya kabiri bagereka ku ngabo za FPR Inkotanyi zahagaritse jenoside yakorewe abatutsi bagamije kuziharabika. Hari n'aho bagera bakavuga cyangwa bakandika nk'uko tubisanga mu gitabo cya Judireva n'abandi nkawe ko interahamwe zari zigizwe n'abatutsi, ko FPR ariyo yagiye kwica abatutsi mu Bisesero. Ibyo byose bakabivuga bagamije gushakisha uko abajenosideri bagarurirwa icyizere biyambuye bahitamo gutsemba abatutsi muri jenoside. Ariko kimwe mu bibagora mu binyoma byabo ni ukwerekana uwaba yarahagaritse iyongerwa jenoside ya kabiri bahimba, cyangwa kwerekana aho umugambi wo kuyikora wacuriwe n'ibiwuranga, nk'uko Kambanda yerekanye aho umugambi wo gukora jenoside ku batutsi wakorewe n'ibyawuranze. Ikindi abapfobya jenoside yakorewe abatutsi bakora ni ukwifashisha imbuga nkoranyambaga n'itangazamakuru ribogamiye, bakibasira abarwanya ingengabitekerezo ya jenoside n'abagaragaza ukuri kw'amateka bashaka kubaca intege ngo ikinyoma cya jenoside ebyiri no gusebya ubuyobozi bw'u Rwanda bibe ari byo bihabwa intebe. Ntibazabigeraho, oya ntibazabigeraho na buke. Amateka ya jenoside yakorewe abatutsi azakomeza gusigasirwa, kandi hari ibimenyetso byivugira byerekana ko atazasibangana, nk'uko bigaragazwa n'umubare w'abarokotse jenoside bandika ibitabo by'amateka yabo ugenda wiyongera. Mu butabera ibibazo u Rwanda rwaterwaga n'ibyemezo bibi by'urukiko mpuzamahanga byarakemutse. Ubu u Rwanda rugishwa inama zikanitabwaho. Niyo mpamvu abahamijwe jenoside nka Augustin Ngirabatware wasubirishagamo urubanza urukiko mpuzamahanga rwabitesheje agaciro, ahanishwa igihano cy'imyaka 35. Bagosora na Semanza basabaga gufungwa batarangije ibihano, nk'uko byagenze hafungurwa baruharwa barimo Nahimana Ferdinand, urukiko ntirwabibemereye. Ubushinjacyaha bw'urukiko mpuzamahanga bufatanya n'u Rwanda gushaka amakuru. Ni imwe mu mpamvu zatumye Kabuga afatwa. Biratanga icyizere ko n'abagishakishwa bazafatwa. Iyo abenshi mu rubyiruko tuganira nabo bumvise aya mateka arabababaza. Ntibiyumvisha uburyo guverinoma zategetse igihugu zafashe umugambi wo kubwiriza abaturage kwica. Ntibaniyumvisha uburyo hari abakuru bapfobya bakanahakana amateka azwi n'isi yose ya jenoside yakorewe abatutsi, ndetse no mu bayipfobya ugasangamo urubyiruko, nk'uko mu bashowe muri jenoside nabwo harimo urubyiruko. Ibi ariko biha urubyiruko rw'u Rwanda imbaraga zo kurwanya ingengabitekerezo ya jenoside batizigama, bagashyigikira imiyoborere myiza u Rwanda rufite. No mu batahutse bavuye mu mashyamba ya Kongo harimo urubyiruko rwinshi bashima uburyo bakiriwe mu gihugu cyabo, bakambagana abakuru babafataga bunyago muri Kongo bababeshya ko nibataha bazicwa. Babikoraga bagamije guhisha uruhare rwabo muri jenoside yakorewe abatutsi. Urubyiruko ruri mu mahanga rukiboshywe n'ingengabitekerezo ya jenoside rwinjijwemo n'abakuru rukwiye kumva ko ubu ngubu u Rwanda ari urwa twese, bakaza gufatanya n'abandi banyarwanda kubaka igihugu aho guhama mu icuraburindi by'abifuza gusenya u Rwanda. Murakoze, ndabashimiye ko tuze kureka.
Dr Bizimana, merci pour votre présentation qui relate les étapes de notre histoire qui ont préparé le génocide perpétré contre les Tutsis en 1994, ainsi que tous les efforts menés depuis lors pour que plus jamais notre nation ne soit divisée. I would now like to invite the Nyundo School of Music to perform a song of remembrance.
Murakoze abanyeshuri mu Nyundo School of Music, banyacyubahiro, bashyitsi bahire, tugeze mu mwanya wo kwakira ubutumwa bw'uyu munsi. Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, uyu mwanya ni wanyu.
neza mwese abari hano, abayobozi b'inzego nkuru z'igihugu cyacu, bashyitsi hano, abashyitsi b'inshuti z'u Rwanda bari hano, abahagarariye ibihugu bijyanye n'imiryango mpuzamahanga, inshuti nyinshi zindi zacu banyarwanda mwese. Mpereye ku byo Jean Damascene Bizimana yamaze kutubwira, biriya ubuhamya bw'ukuri, ni ukuri kutazahinduka. Ariko rero niba abahakana amateka ibyabaye bitabatera isoni, yewe wowe twagiriye iki ubwoba bwo guhangana nabo? What Jean Damascene has just told us those are facts. Facts of our history, facts about what happened and the responsibilities thereof. For those deniers, if they have no shame, why should I have fear? Ndabashimiye mwese kuba mwaje muri uyu muhango, nubwo yari ishora 27 twibuka bacu, ntabwo umuhango tuwufata nk'ibisanzwe. Buri gihe utwibutsa byinshi bikomeye. Kugeza uyu munsi turacyabona imibiri y'abajugunywe mu byobo hirya no hino mu gihugu. Abakoze aya mahano barakidegembya hirya no hino ku isi, ariko ntabwo twakwemera ko uburemere bw'ayo mateka buduherana. Ikindi kandi ni inshuro ya kabiri kwibuka bibaye muri iki gihe cy'icyorezo cya COVID-19. Kuba tudashobora guteranira hamwe nk'uko bisanzwe byongerera agahinda abarokotse jenoside, kandi kwihangana kwabo no kudacika intege ari byo biduha imbaraga zo gukomeza kwiyubaka no kubaka igihugu. Turabashimira inkunga yanyu no kwihangana no kwitanga kugira ngo twese tugire ejo hazaza heza. kongera kubaho nk'igihugu tubikesha abanyarwanda benshi bashatse kubaka u Rwanda rwiza rubabereye, bakanga kuba ibikoresho by'abayobozi babi. Amahirwe yo kubaho mu buzima bwiza bayabonye bayafatishije amaboko yombi. Iyi ni inkingi ikomeye bigize imbaraga zacu. Kubera izi mpamvu, no mu bihe by'ibibazo bikomeye n'abifuzaga kubarangaza no kubatesha igihe, abanyarwanda barushijeho gukomeza kunga ubumwe. Nta kindi gihe u Rwanda rwaranzwe n'ubumwe no kureba imbere nk'ubu. Aha ndavuga cyane cyane urubyiruko, ari narwo rugize umubare munini w'abaturage b'igihugu cyacu. Iyi ni nayo mpamvu abashaka kuducamo ibice no kudutesha umurongo bananiwe, kandi bazakomeza kunanirwa. Ahasigaye nabasabaga ngo mwimerere mvuge mu rurimi rw'amahanga, n'abashyitsi bacu bashobore gukurikirana cyangwa se abatari kumwe natwe bari hanze, ngira ngo mbwire bumve. Kwibuka challenges us to reflect on the context of the present moment, as well as the cumulative history that has led us here. Rwanda may not yet be wealthy and or fully healthy, and we have vulnerabilities and limitations like any country. But we also know how to deal with our problems. Rwandans are resilient, and we are full of purpose and hope. The immensity of what has been achieved is almost miraculous. The results are attested to by Rwandans and indeed indisputable. First, there are the tangible signs, things that we can see and feel. New buildings and roads, better hospitals and health centers, water and electricity services where they never existed before, visitors flocking to see Rwanda's unique wildlife and enjoy hospitality. But the tangible the intangible transformations which have taken place in the hearts and minds of our people are very, even more important. They allow progress to be sustained from generation to generation. Our unity and nationhood, which continues to grow, the trust we have in each other as a people and in our leaders and institutions. Positive mindsets of creativity, accountability, and self-reliance. The satisfaction of seeing Rwanda's story serve as an uplifting symbol of renewal, even, hopefully, beyond our borders. The collective self-assurance from the spirit of Agaciro, which inspires everything we do. The Rwandans of today have gained a lot, which means we have something precious to defend. This requires constant vigilance, along with a commitment to introspection and honesty. Decades, even centuries of progress can be wiped away in the blink of an eye. We have seen examples in different societies around the world, no matter how advanced. I know for certain that the Rwandans will always be ready to protect what we have built without hesitation or apology. Like every country, Rwanda has the right to use all legitimate and lawful means to counter attacks on our people, no question about it, and the principles of our Constitution. Whenever possible, we bring those who threaten our country's peace and security to justice. The rule of law is not up for debate. In fact, there are several trials underway in our courts involving various armed violent groups. You know, it's funny because among those who are undergoing trial, there are those who have been living outside, protected, one or the other. And it is all connected with the story of denial, of distortion, of fabrication, of all kinds of things. It's interesting to some, especially those who are hosting these people, the issue is not what they did that they are being tried for. The issue is how they got here. Fine. If they got here the wrong way, we can still talk about that. There's no problem. We can talk about how these people got here. But shouldn't we concentrate also on what is more important? That is why they are being tried in the courts of law. You know, it's not too complicated to understand that, but you can figure out for yourselves why it happens that way. Maybe you'll get to understand more as you go. Rwandans believe that our country cannot afford to allow such a dangerous games against our people to be played on our territory ever again. When the line into violence is crossed, there is also a remedy for that. Most of these actors sought international relevance by killing innocent people and threatening our economy. Unfortunately, this strategy of attention seeking has sometimes worked for them. You know, some of these people are out there in places where they have a lot of lessons for us as to what is democracy, what is freedom, what is of political and civil rights. At the same time, they embrace these people, protect them, defend them, speak for them, because they are saying these are people who want to civilize Rwanda and bring it closer to that level where we are not. Now, many times we have I'm trying to get to the bottom of the question I would ask. Why is this? Why does it happen? Maybe we'll come to it later, but I just want to tell you a few things. There are a couple of cases where we told their hosts, so these criminals, but those are actually criminals. They have either killed our people, they have stolen, they have raped, they've done all kinds of things, and you have asked them to try them. And they say, no, these are critics of leaders of Rwanda. These are people who are fighting for freedom, for rights of all kinds. Now, what is interesting again, it doesn't take very long before they actually realize what we are talking about, because a couple of them are now serving sentences in those countries, they're in prison, for actually having done some of the things we told these people that these criminals have been known for. And in court, these people, it's very, very interesting. When they're being tried out there, in Europe, in America, in different places, still in court, even in evidence that these people have either raped or stolen money in those countries, they still say no. It is actually President Kagame who is sending his agents and different things. They are the ones, but I can't. How can I send somebody to come and give instructions to rape and you rape? How can I send somebody, an agent, to come and ask you to steal and you steal? So if there are cases you need to sort out with the Rwandan leaders, that's okay, but you first answer for those cases. So and then you go back to these people, friends, you talk to everybody and say, what? But we told you. Still they will not believe us, even when they have seen this. You heard the other day when the person who was brought here, and the question is how he got here, not how he was associated with, was leading a group that was killing people here in Rwanda. You saw how others still in those countries, when somebody testified in the courts here and confirmed what they are being accused of and said they were planning it outside where they lived, recently one or two people came up and said, yes, that is true. What the other one said in the court is true. In other words, he's admitting but they are actually doing these things they are accused of. But say, well, but here we are protected, nothing is going to come, nothing is going to happen to us, and maybe we are also not going to be able to bring us there, where we have brought that one. So you can see how disturbing this is, but yes, we should understand the world we live in. So, disgraced former officials, motivated by petty resentments, have spent years cultivating influential foreign gatekeepers with a flimsy campaign of my friends. You can tell any lie about me. You are free to do so. You can pile up tons of lies. It won't change me. Absolutely. It won't change this country to be what you want it to be. Doesn't matter how many lives. That I can promise you. When the storytellers happen to have been born in the right kind of place that is out there, their impartiality and integrity is simply taken for granted, just by where they are born. Whatever they say against you is supposed to be taken for granted. It has nothing to do with the facts. But only has to do with the fact of where this person is born. These are the places where most of these problems come from. Falsehoods become facts, and the victims become villains. Acts of terrorism are portrayed as principled expressions of opposition and dissent, while Rwanda's response is singled out for criticism. Let me tell you this. We will be happy to be criticized for doing what we have to do and believe that we have to do against these acts against us. Are these really the people who represent the universal values we all claim to espouse? It is outright wrong. It's wrong. It can't be otherwise. We are left wondering how many bodies there have to be before we are seen as having the right to take appropriate action. Do you remember the famous interview in the old days, 1994, where people had problems of knowing what was happening in Rwanda at that time? Some people are struggling to call it genocide. Well, today we have another struggle. People are struggling to call it now genocide against the Tutsis. But the problem of the definition started way back in 1994. We're just simply naming it what it was. And somebody, I think a journalist asked, somebody said, do you now call it genocide? The other one said, no. So it is acts of genocide. Then the journalist asked, how many acts of genocide does it take to call it genocide? You remember that story, that interview. So it is surprising that we still have the same discussion 27 years later. It's amazing. specialists and the human rights groups remain silent about the obvious dangers. Reluctant to say anything that might be seen to vindicate the Rwandan government. The cynicism and hypocrisy reflected in such bigoted narratives is breathtaking. And on our African continent, Rwanda is hardly the only target of these tactics. It is something we do not deserve and we will not accept. Recently, a commission of historians appointed by the French government released a detailed report after reading official archives that had remained secret. The report shows that President Mitterrand and his closest advisors knew that a genocide against the Tutsi was being planned by their allies in Rwanda. That's what Dr. Zuma said. Despite that knowledge, the president decided to continue supporting them because he believed this was necessary for France's geopolitical position. So Rwandans' lives were just pawns in geopolitical games. We welcome this report because it marks an important step toward a common understanding of what took place. It also marks the change. It shows the desire even for leaders in France to move forward with a good understanding of what happened. And we welcome this. We welcome this. We are going to have the report presented to us, and we've been informed about it, and it's a good thing. We also have a word to say in the near future. In fact, it is maybe around the 3rd week of this month. The findings we have in our hands, based on the work that has been done by people who are commissioned to do that, almost similar or parallel to what was being done in France. The findings go in the same direction. The important thing is to continue working together to document the truth. This is the truth. The decades-long effort by certain French officials to cover up their responsibilities has caused significant damage. History was falsified by promoting the lie of the so-called double genocide, including with the mapping report. Fraudulent court cases were launched in Europe against our officers and officials. Genocide suspects were granted safe haven and Rwanda extradition requests refused. And this was not just in France, it's just because I was talking about the report. Even in other capitals of those developed countries, we know of cases that have gone on for close to 15 years. There are places where there are about 4 or 5 genocide suspects. Files are very clear. We talked to the country hosting them. We begged them. We said, case files are ready, they are here. Can you please give them to us for trial? The answer was, we have no extradition treaty, we have this, we don't trust your courts, we don't trust your laws, we don't. Okay, we say, fine. We needed your trust, but you don't want to give it to us. Fine. So, can you try them in your courts of law? Because if you have a problem with our courts, you don't have problems with your courts. And then even after that request, they still have excuses for not. And it continues and goes on and goes on. At the same time, these are people who have all kinds of blame laid against us. And you say, but why don't you do that? Are you not ashamed of protecting genocide suspects? Covering up for them for any reason? Okay, if you said you don't want to try, then why don't you try it? It's the same people who question the use of genocide against Tutsis. And by the way, that, I think, genocide, which was, we are not the ones who invented it. This word was coined by some other people long ago, long before our own tragic situation. But somebody says, you know, we don't want to accept that this is a genocide against the Tutsis because peacekeepers died, foreigners died, Hutus died, everybody died who was killed. So, look, even if you thought those were your facts, the facts, how does this stop isolating this case and treat it the way it should be treated, and then you can come up with your long list of other cases to deal with. So I don't doubt these people's capacity or logic or anything. No, it's something else. It's like saying, no, let's not try this guy for the crimes he committed. Let's deal with the case of how he got to this court. Please forget about that. So we have a long way to go. So when these genocide suspects are granted safe haven and extradition requests refused, it has a direct consequence, and we have seen a massive increase in genocide denial and revisionism, which will take years to reverse. Well-known publishers release books accusing the RPF itself of having masterminded the genocide in order to take power. This is what I think Dr. Zimmerman earlier on referred to as well. What is even more disturbing is that too many people who know better prefer to stay out of it by keeping quiet. A country, I remember, issued a statement to mark the commemoration of the genocide. This was really supposed to be normally on this day we can get a statement of solidarity or not. If you don't send us a statement of solidarity, we won't complain. Here we don't complain. But a country issued and sent us a statement of solidarity, supposedly, but they went. They said, we're doing genocide, so on and so forth. Then they started, there are more chapters about human rights violations, about governance, about in the same solidarity message. So I took time and wrote back and just placed one request, simple request. I said, you know, this day, 7th of April, is a commemoration day. And it's just one day in 365 days of the year, just one day. So I asked them, I said, can't you spare us just this one day? And then, for the remaining number of days, 364, you can write anything you want. You can abuse us, insult us in any way you want for the rest of that year. I said, but spare us this day. Fortunately, I think they got the message. learned to separate. But there are others who don't learn. There are others who don't learn and who maybe on the way are their statements saying the same things. But we really have space to accommodate that as well. And surely, and yet, despite a unanimous resolution by the United Nations General Assembly, there are still one or two countries which stubbornly refuse to use the phrase genocide against the Tutsi. In the whole of the General Assembly, they have that understanding and agreement except one or two. Just as they resisted using the word genocide that I told you of in 1994, until it was too late, then they came back to the word itself. But we heard that I think some people had a problem that if they called it genocide, then it puts a heavy burden on them to act, to stop it. So they were really trying to avoid the heavy burden of stopping it by refusing to call it genocide. But it's interesting how history repeats itself. So we've almost gone full circle. From 94 to now, we have a repetition of questioning words and definitions and all kinds of things. It is as though this simple recognition of what the word should be would be a reward bestowed on Rwandans in exchange for good behavior, in their view. In their view, you behave the way they want you to behave, and then they'll give you a gift, a reward of recognizing what it is, what is shame. But I don't think we cannot respond to blackmail on such matters of principle. Unfortunately, a new generation of Rwandans in the diaspora, this is really a small group, who have no personal responsibility for what happened in 1994, draw on these accounts to repackage genocide ideology as a critique of governance and human rights. And they're picking it from there or being supported by that. For us in Rwanda, we are not being held back. We move forward. There is no difference so big that a hand extended in good faith will not be reciprocated. That is how we Rwandans are, who our history has made us. But currency of forgiveness is truth. We cannot get tired of talking about the realities we have lived. On this most solemn of days, I wish to close by thanking the Rwandans for remaining dedicated to the task of unity and reconciliation. We also thank the many friends around the world who have joined with us over the years. Not only that, let me again for the story I told you earlier. While people are having problems of calling what was genocide and so on and so forth at the United Nations, among those having problems at the time, even being the Secretary General of the day of the United Nations. You know, some amazing countries and their representatives stood up and stood out and said no. They said this is what it is. And one of them is an African country that we shall always be proud of, a good friend of ours. One of them, represented by a man I remember called Gambari of Nigeria. Nigeria stood out and said no. See, there's a problem there, and we must call it what it is. And Professor Gambari was there, and Nigeria was, we shall always be proud of Nigeria. And then there was Czech Republic, there was New Zealand. These countries you do not think about first when it comes to. There's a tendency to always think about these being, in some sense, countries. But, so, that is what we always be indebted and thankful to some of these people across the world. Let me end by telling you something I remembered, and I end from that. When we were still young and going to primary school, I remember being told a story of a lion or leopard and the sheep. They told us there was a stream of water, like a river. The lion was upstream, was drinking water. And then downstream there was a sheep drinking water as well. So when the lion recognized there was a sheep nearby, and said, looked for a quick excuse to go out to the sheep and have it for its meal. But they first had a conversation. So the lion called out sheep and said, hey, you. You see, I'm here drinking water and you are just making it dirty. So you're making dirty the water I'm drinking. the ship humbly said, "But sir, I'm downstream. Where I'm drinking the water from, even if I was making it that, it's not coming up to you, it is continuing." So the lion got angry, said, felt provoked. Said, "How dare you answer back to me like that? You are even abusing me." The ship said, "I'm really sorry, I didn't want to abuse you, I'm not abusing you, forgive me." Said, even the other day, actually you abused me. Then the ship said, "But sir, it's the first time I have come to drink water from here, so it's not me." And the lion said, "You see, you're really, annoying me. If it's not you, maybe it is your brother, your sister, or who was here out." So he said, "No, sir, I'm not even aware of my sister or brother that came here. I have come from so far away, it's the first time." So the lion, of course, went for the ship. I'm telling you this story because sometimes we are treated like this story suggests. There's somebody out there saying, "Hey, you're even abusing me, even when you have not talked to them. If it is not you, it is your brother, it is your mother, it's your sister, it's your what?" I said, "No, sir." I think some people have been doing that to us. But let me tell you, don't ever accept to be sheep. I don't even aspire or want to be this kind of lion. I'm going to be happy being who I am, that will challenge this lion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your words of truth and hope. I would now like to invite once again the young people of the Nyundo School of Music who represent the youth of Rwanda and who have taken to heart today's important message of commemoration. Thank you.
Genocide is a shame to the human race. We rose from the pain, from the tears, from the ashes. How much longer do we have to say never again? Sorori warurirae, wanawakwana. Ufati amruta kaitibi. Apprendre à aimer, tâchons de faire que nos enfants aient raison d'espérer. Inambutera niryoshema tugukesha, tubibona minero idusaba inyikirizo wa mushumba dutezeho. Uru rumuri dufite mu biganza byacu Rwanda, tuzarurinda icyarungabanya cyose, umwijima ntuzagaruka ukundi. Abakijwe Rwanda ntibazagaruka ariko batuye imitima tugutuye. Turabunamira twiyubaka kandi tujya imbere. N'abapfakazi bafite icyizere, baratwaza ubudacogorana biyubaka. Abo bavukijwe Rwanda ntibazagaruka ariko batuye imitima tugutuye. Turabunamira twiyubaka kandi tujya imbere. Abo bavukijwe Rwanda ntibazagaruka ariko batuye imitima tugutuye. Imitima tugutuye. Twiyubaka kandi tujya imbere.
Excellencies, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the conclusion of our ceremony and thank you for your support on this important occasion as we honor those we lost, those who survived, and the country that we are today.
twongere tubashimire kuba mwabanye natwe kuri uyu munsi. Ku banyarwanda n'inshuti z'u Rwanda mwese mwadukurikiye, dukomeze kwibuka twiyubaka muri iki cyumweru cy'icyunamo. Nk'uko bisanzwe, ibikorwa byo kwibuka birakomeza mu gihe cy'iminsi ijana, twubahiriza amabwiriza yo kwirinda coronavirus kuko abacu bifuza ko tubaho. Dukomeze kuba hafi y'abarokotse jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi, twibuke twiyubaka.
Please remain in your place as His Excellency the President and Her Excellency Madam First Lady depart. Thank you for being with us today.
abakomeje gukurikira gahunda za televiziyo Rwanda tubashimira.